when you think of playing a course such as the Beast, very difficult for 4 rounds, it kind of seems daunting at first, but what it really comes down to is playing each hole moment by moment. It's a cliche, but it really is true. You have to really digest it. Just show up Thursday, whenever your tee time is, put a good practice session in the field, warm up properly, and just take it day by day.
Even though this year they have shortened some of the holes, I feel like still quite a lot of distance is required on some of these shots. But mostly you have to be extremely accurate, keep the disc in bounds. It's been very windy.
In order to be able to design a major level course, you need to understand the game deeper. And of course the game is changing all the time. So I would say that this particular course is representing kind of not the modern type, like an open field golf course shots, but this is more like that you really need to have an angle control, which is very important. So that's something that I really cherish as a course designer, because it's not about the distance, it's about the accuracy.
I think out here, there's definitely plenty of spots to go out of bounds, and bogeys are going to happen. You're not just going to play perfectly clean every single round, so it's just, not letting things, compound and getting a bogey after you just got a bogey.
Course design is probably one of the things I like the most, because it's almost like an art. You have a piece of property that you can build or design as a golf course, and you really can challenge, and you want to challenge every skill set of the player, and that is especially in place here at the Beast.
There's a gentle breeze blowing through the air this morning in Nokia, Finland. We are back here at the Beast for round 2 of the 2023 European Open, the second major of the 2023 disc golf season. Welcome into Tournament Central. I'm Brian Earhart, joined here yet again by Nate Perkins. Nate, it's a beautiful day out here in Nokia. I think a lot of players were worried that the conditions that we saw yesterday were going to happen again today, but right now we seem to be safe.
Yeah, it's clear skies right now. The rain clouds have moved on, and it doesn't look like they're returning, Brian. And this is the prevailing wind out here. Right now it's about 5 miles per hour out of the west, and this is the wind direction that everybody practiced in all week long. So I feel like yesterday's wind direction was just the opposite. While it was down for the FPO, it did come into play because they had to throw 16 in a tailwind when they're throwing in a headwind all week. They had to throw hole 2 in a crosswind. So to return to the wind direction that they're used to, I think the scores are probably going to improve today.
Well, Kristin Tattar even mentioned that she was shocked that the conditions were so calm and scoreable, and it almost made her feel uneasy when she was attacking this course, but clearly she did well enough, shooting a 4 under par, the only player shooting under par in the day, and she's up by 4.
Yeah, and she shot that 4 down, Brian, with 2 bogeys, and of course 100% in circle 1 and 50% in circle 2, and just look how comfortable she is. I think we're going to see a lot more players going with the straddle spin putt. This putt downhill, that's a direct death putt right there on the 5th, about a 10-meter putt.
And this is something that she's been doing all season. It's not like she's going 1 of 2 and going 50% from circle 2. She was 3 of 6. And those 3 circle 2 putts a lot of times can not fall, and you find yourself much more in the mix with the rest of the field. But it seems like her circle 2 putting, at least as of late, has been separating her from the pack this year. But she looks unstoppable. Even her mistakes are not taking her that far out of the mix.
No, the mistakes are minimal. And this skip over the pond on 11, they have a short pad there this year. Beautiful putt there on 13. That one is also looking at a direct downslope behind the pin. And then Kristin opted to play this hole safe here on the 16th. That was her 3rd. And then, of course, one of the only players to card the birdie on hole 18. They changed it to a par 5 this year. And, Kristin said it, that even with the new short pads out here, that the women are still playing a lot of the same holes as the men, and distance is still required, Brian.
Well, 7 holes averaged a half stroke over par or worse. A lot of these par 4s and par 5s are playing extremely difficult, and I think course management is exactly what you need to be focusing on here. I hope a lot of these players went back and looked at these scoring averages, because I think you realize Kristin was right in saying you never need to go for the 3 unless you absolutely have to on 16. We did hear from Kristin after her round yesterday. Let's take a listen.
I think in the woods, it's just like a matter of hitting the gaps, and it's always tough in disc golf, especially when you're playing a major. It's just sometimes the nerves get the best of you. But when you get out in the open, it's just OB everywhere. Again, nerves come into play. Today should have been quite easy conditions. I don't know what to expect from the other days, but yeah, I guess it's just... I think major nerves. I will try to maybe make a better decision on hole 3 or just go for it a little bit harder. Today there was no wind, so I was a little bit hesitant on the tee shot. I thought it would be flipping more, but it didn't. So I think just practicing in the wind, yeah, it confused me a little.
Always interesting to hear from a player like Kristin, who literally is pretty much winning everything in this division, saying that she still feels nerves. And I guess maybe for elite athletes, that's something that they want to happen. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, and I feel like Kristin really plays better when the girls around her are pushing her. But I have to think, Brian, when I know she's not checking scores, but when all the competitors on your card are carding bogeys and then blowing up on the 16th, that it kind of has to take some sort of weight off you, and the adversity is gone, and she's just relaxed and is able to play her game and not worry, because like Charlie said, they're dropping like flies around her.
Well, I think, yeah, an athlete like her maybe takes that adrenaline and that excitement and channels it into focus and channels it into some sort of sense of urgency. But yeah, I think it's very difficult when you do separate yourself from the field early to feel that sense of urgency. So I think that's something that she probably takes on as a very personal challenge, despite having the lead. How far can you go? I mean, if you beat the field by 4 every round, that's a 16-stroke victory at one of the toughest courses they see all year. So just super excited to see how it plays out for her. Again, nothing is guaranteed out here, but she does have a nice cushion. Another player that's chasing her that shot even par yesterday, nice and safe round, 14 pars, Anneli Togias-Maniste, having kind of a solid year, just turned 36, a physiotherapist. Just fantastic story here, and she's playing some great disc golf. Nate.
Well, I think it's incredible that she's joining one of her heroes, Kristin Tattar. I mean, I don't know any FPO player who doesn't look up to Kristin, even, her toughest competitors. And Anneli has been playing for some time now, but this is the biggest moment of her career to find herself on the lead card. And if we take a look at her scorecard yesterday, she was actually putting for a 2 under par there on the 18th. It was maybe a 6-meter putt, and it was her first missed circle 1 putt of the round, Brian, and she actually found the OB on the other side of the basket to end up finishing at even par versus the 2 down. So she's definitely in the mix, especially if she can keep it clean, because if Kristin faces any adversity like she did yesterday on the front 9, maybe a 4 down could be the hottest round of the weekend. So even 2 down is definitely going to keep you in the mix.
Well, again, we have to talk about her putting, because that is one of her strengths. She went 3 for 5 from Circle 2 yesterday, and again, those Circle 2 looks always can set you apart from the rest of the field, especially when the wind picks up like it might today. If she can keep those numbers up, putts like that kind of drift OB after missing, I mean, that doesn't happen every single round, like you and I both know. It does happen. You have to take it in stride. She seemed very optimistic in her post-round interview. So looking forward to seeing her chase Kristin down and give her a little bit of pressure. We did listen to Anneli yesterday after her round. Let's take a listen.
When there's wind and there's a lot of penalty areas, so if you're not committing to the shot, you're definitely finding the OB. Today, I think the wind was fine. Couple holes, but overall just fine. When I finished, I was like, that's the best I've ever played in here, because I'm always like afraid of those OBs and everything. And today I was like, yeah, maybe I can do this. So I think just confidence today. I went for some holes, like the 15 that goes down, but I messed up my tee shot, but scrambled and got a par, so I think that's just fine. But otherwise, I'm not going for it because I practice the hay bale hole, the hole 16, and it's not worth it for me personally. I always play 4. I can go for the island, but I don't want to.
Well, it sounds like hole 16 not necessarily worth it for anybody, so the course management certainly solid there for Anna Lee. We're going to take a quick commercial break on the other side. Let's wrap up this lead card.
What's up, guys? I'm here at the European Open, and I want to remind you to go check out the European Open online pro shop to check out some exclusive discs, merchandise, apparel, and so much more. Thank you for supporting the event, and enjoy the show.
A round of disc golf can be long, and if you're playing in a tournament, it can feel like a marathon. This can leave you physically and mentally fatigued by the end when your shots matter most. With space for your discs, water, and even a place to sit, a cart enables you to bring what you need, helping you feel more prepared and energized without carrying the extra weight. This can help you maintain your edge and save you strokes through every round.
Welcome back. The Cinderella story continues. Another wonderful narrative here on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. Tele Tomsalu, under 900 rated Estonian Open champion, now playing her way to a lead card at the European Open. Nate, we both watched a lot of shots come out of her hand, and the promise is there. It's not a surprise that she's playing herself to these cards. I'm guaranteeing you that player rating is catching up eventually.
Yeah, absolutely, Brian. And I was paying close attention to her game yesterday, and the birdies on 1, 6, and 9. That's one thing. Those are shorter holes, a little bit more technical holes. But it was really her tee shot on hole 10 that just made me sit back in my chair, like, whoa, okay, there's some real talent here. Because when you see a player get the disc up to speed like that and cross that soccer field, here's the forehand on 9, and that is just super clean delivery right there. That netted her third birdie of the round. She's tied for the lead going into the back 9. And what do you think about that timing on that release right there, Brian?
Just in general, I think the way she moves up the tee pad, it gives us a little bit of an indicator of how good she can be. I think sometimes players have kind of individualized form that kind of works for them, but it caps out at a certain point, I believe. Her timing with the backhand looks great. I think the forehand, obviously, on 9, what we saw was fantastic. She's showcasing an entire skill set, and I just think that the player rating that she has right now is not indicative of how she could be playing in the future. But do you think she can hold this off for 3 rounds? Andrew Gum, Finnish commentator, did say he thinks that she seems really comfortable on camera.
Yeah, she didn't seem nervous. And when the bogeys started to pile up, that's all they were single bogeys. She didn't let it get to her. She didn't let it blow up her round, and she stayed with it. And she finds herself on the lead card. And you said it, Cinderella story. This has to be one of the biggest moments of her disc golf career. And she qualified for the Estonian Open on a Monday qualifying round. So for her to be here, things had to fall into place, and she had to play some really special golf. And the last player on this lead card that we need to talk about, of course, is Henna. even after blowing up on 16, she finds herself on the lead card. Brian, what did you see from her yesterday?
I saw Henna Blomroos play the disc golf that she's supposed to play, minus a couple of holes. It seems like all of the tough bonus birdies, there's a story floating around. Oh, no, Henna was the one that got one. Oh, no, Henna got that one as well. I mean, hole 7, such a challenging hole, but she throws from a standstill position so well, and her distance is just unbelievable. I saw her drive on hole 3 yesterday, and it was just blowing me away. Like, okay, if you want to throw 500 feet up the fairway with shape, that's fine. Go for it.
She was the only player in the field to card a birdie on both hole 7 and hole 10. And again, they're playing the same pads as the FPO field. And those are some of the tougher birdies for anyone in this entire tournament. This is after a 120-meter tee shot. Here she is ripping a committed shot out over the OB. Gets the skip over the hay bale, Brian. That's in circle 1. The only player in the field to get both of those holes in round 1.
What I thought was so funny is I talked to her and she said, no, I'm not going to play safe. Like, even if the conditions change, I'm not going to play safe. Maybe on one hole, hole 15, slipped out of my hand. I mean, to me, that just shows the confidence that she's always had off the tee. And again, she took a long break in order to practice her putting and kind of reset her mentality. So I think it's really important for her to do that. Her and Evelina both did, and look where they are right now. We did hear from Henna after her round as well. Let's take a listen.
Not really satisfied. I had a couple really bad holes, but otherwise it was pretty good. I'm keeping my game plan. I just had bad footing on that one hole, so I think that was it, and it went into my head. And yeah, I'm playing same strategy. There is one hole what depends on the wind, but otherwise pretty same. Or maybe hole 15. I'm not going for it if it's really windy.
Well, coming up this afternoon, a couple of new faces on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. Here's a lead card for the European Open. We're going to see you on the other side of this commercial break.
In 40 yards, do not turn left or right. Just drive. You have reached your destination. You are home.
I wasn't really prepared for any rain. I had, I think, 2 towels that luckily lasted all day, no umbrella, and luckily I was able to get one. But I guess I didn't bother to look at the forecast before, so I wasn't expecting that. But had a game plan of how to keep all my discs dry, keep my hand dry, and go as fast as I could, but still be in control. I'm going in more mentally, treating it like it's just any other tournament, because if I've found out in the past, if I go into a tournament preparing, being like, this is a major, you have to do well, then I kind of psych myself out, and it's a little harder to be stress-free out there. Well, and I had 2 middle circle 2 putts on back-to-back holes I left out there, but they were a little tricky putts. I wasn't too upset with those.
Well, Nate, he walked up to me on hole number 4 and he kind of laughed and just said, I wasn't prepared for this, as the rain was falling on his head. But you know what? He's still a young player, and I think that ability to just kind of kick yourself to the curb and just like deal with the elements, There's something to that. I mean, he had a smile on his face. He realized that he screwed up and didn't pack an umbrella, but he eventually adjusted and found an umbrella and found like a method to keep his routine. And he found just an incredible flow as the temperature dropped like 20 degrees and the rain was falling on everyone. He shoots 7 under par in the front 9. Nate, what do you make of that?
Well, I just think it's incredible, like his attitude in that interview, like, oh, I wasn't prepared, but then I just birdied 7 holes in a row, so it was going pretty well. And as soon as his 7-hole birdie stretch is over, the rain stops. He gets his first par there on 11, which is, it's a fine hole to cart a par on. Finishes in the lead here at this European Open with the lone bogey there on 15. But I love his attitude. I love what he said about not really thinking that it's a major, just going into it like it's any other tournament, and you could tell that the pressure was off.
Well, what's interesting is a lot of the players have been saying it. Yeah, it's a PDGA major, but a lot of the same people that I see week in and week out are here, minus maybe a few of the new European players that are starting to creep up the leaderboard. So I think mid-season, it's easy to feel like that. And I think maybe like we were talking about with Kristin, we need to find that sense of urgency. And I think in the rain, without an umbrella, without like a lot of things to make him feel comfortable, he had to fight through that. And I think he showed a lot of poise out there and hit a lot of really clutch putts down the stretch. The thing that I'm really intrigued to see what lasts over the weekend is just his physical stamina. I know he was dealing with a back injury, but the speed looked good. The timing looked fantastic. I mean, it looks like he is throwing the disc really well without fear. But 10 under par, that's a solid mark, especially leaving a couple out there. I mean, Nate, do you think a 40 under for the weekend is going to be enough?
40 under for the weekend. If it stays calm like this, I think that's going to be the minimum required. I think yesterday was probably the lowest average to par that we're going to see, the highest average. I think the scores are only going to improve. That's what they normally do, especially when the wind's down. And again, like we said, the wind is back out of the west. So all week players were practicing with the out of the west. That's what they're going to be used to. This afternoon it's looking like it's going to be 10 miles per hour. I think we're going to start to see more of those double-digit scores.
Well, with that said, we want to jump back to the FPO division. We're going to tease a little Missy Gannon after this commercial break.
What makes the Halal Guys so deliciously different? You might have heard of our famously long cart lines that NYC fans happily stand in. Today, with over 100 plus restaurants across the globe, we are your place to experience authentic American halal. Enjoy our delicious falafel, Euro sandwich, platters, and sides topped with our famously flavorful white and hot sauces. Order online today and taste how we make different so delicious. The Halal Guys, bringing something deliciously different to the table.
One of my favorite memories growing up was a trip I took with my dad to Hawaii. We just got done with a round of disc golf and decided to listen to the Grateful Dead. Without saying anything, we both knew we needed to dance, and that's exactly what we did. Sometimes you just need to stop and enjoy the music.
I feel good. My game plan was play nice and safely, and I managed to do it. Yeah, why not? I wouldn't be here if I wouldn't be confident, yeah. My game plan is fine. I'm trying to throw as good as I can and attack the holes I can.
Yet another player double bogeying the last hole and nearly making it onto the lead card. Jenny Karppinen, another solid thrower, solid player that's been all over the place this year in a good way, just playing a lot of big events. But really, we have to talk about the rest of the chase card. Let's talk Missy Gannon. Missy, wasn't that impressed with the way she performed in the President's Cup, but then we come out here and she shoots a solid round.
Yeah, solid round, but I still feel like she left a lot out there, Brian. That stretch from 3 to 11, she went 4 over on that stretch, and she was really off her game. That she was turning some of those thrasher shots over. She found OB on holes that we typically see Missy, playing safe on. There on 10, she threw one directly OB on, and then backed it up on 11, trying to play that one safe, throws it OB. So I feel like a 2 over could be Missy's worst round of the weekend, just from the eye test yesterday. There's a good putt there on 17 to card the birdie, and on 18, she was in position, and then again just turned that thrasher over, found the OB, but a good up and down there.
I mean, she went 1 under par through the toughest stretch of the course. So to me, that's indicative of potentially shooting much better in the future. I mean, the holes that she messed up on in the front 9 are easily holes that you can just get yourself a par or a birdie on if something little goes differently. So we'll just have to see, but again, the putt is working for Missy, and I think that she has the confidence to shoot her way up the leaderboard. Another player that we are kind of wondering about is Evelina Salonen. Evelina seems to have found her putt, but hole 16 gave her so much trouble.
It did, and honestly, we said it yesterday that we think Evelina is going to be one of the people that has to push Kristin, okay? And she was actually leading the event, heading into that hole. Brian, should she be going for this from 105 meters out?
I mean, if I was a hired coach, Nate, I would look at the spread from years past and be like, listen, if you par, you're going to take 4 strokes on the field, potentially, maybe more. But Evelina is one of the best throwers that we've ever seen in the FPO division. So for her, this is probably a very gettable 3. And if she wants to take it, she can take it. It just so happened that it really bit her. And at this point, I don't know if it's worth going for again. It's probably something that she feels like she has to save going into it the next time. So I can't predict in this situation if she even wants to go for it again. But if you look and see that it averaged over a 5, there's potential that she does change the game plan.
I almost feel like there should just be a general rule there on the 16th. If you have to go driver into that green, you should just lay it up. She's just past the gravel right there. That's a 110-meter shot. She's trying to throw a destroyer on hyzer. You have to land right over the hay bale, short of the basket, and not get a skip. And yesterday it was pretty skippy, so she found it. She found deep OB more times than she found the short. And it's just so hard. If you don't have that power forehand that gets to finish into those hay bales, I almost feel like you should just lay that one up.
Well, statistically, like I said, par is birdie, and a 3 is absolutely an eagle. It's almost better than an eagle when you look at the stats. But I don't know. I don't quite know what's going on. But really, she's leading a lot of these driving categories week in and week out. So it's hard to question her and her abilities with the distance driver because it got her so far already. Another player that we have to talk about as we wrap up the show is Katrina Allen, who came in playing decent golf, had some really rough stretches of the course, and then had a tough finish on 18. But she's still right in the mix, and she's no slouch here. She's won this tournament 2 times. Does she need to actually press, or do you feel like just maintaining on the course is enough?
Well, she's 7 back, Brian, so I feel like she needs to find that flow. And we saw it at the Preserve where she was able to, she's made this big swing change, and she was able to find that rhythm. And she found her putt yesterday. She did have a spit out early that kind of rattled her, and I felt like it led to some late bogeys. But the putt there on 15, that was for that par save. That was beautiful. Staying in it, and of course, failing there on the 18th, but 7 back after the first round. She needs to shoot a pretty hot front 9 to get things going today.
Well, we just talked a lot of golf, Nate. A lot of players going out there hoping for redemption during round number 2. We are going to wrap up Tournament Central and throw you out there to the course. For Nate Perkins, Brian Earhart, it's been a beautiful morning. We'll see you out there.